Hello everyone and welcome to another video, and in this one I'm going to be doing something that some of you have been asking me to do for years, and that is
who can make the best beast in Blender in 1 hour, Grant Abbott, Infenzia or Stephen Woods? You've got 1 hour, go.
I love that we're all starting with the default cube.
There's such a thing as a mechanical beast, right?
Well,
no, actually, I'm sorry, no, there isn't. No, you'll have to think of a different idea.
oh,
I actually recorded a video for Game Dev TV where we did a battle, and it was me against two other Blender modelers, and one of them was actually one of my heroes when it comes to modeling, and that's Grant Abbott. I actually learned a lot of my Blender modeling from him, both when it comes to rigging and also some texture painting stuff. So I was pretty intimidated to go up against him because now he's doing like some wizardry when it comes to sculpting, and we all know how I sculpt. It's not going to work, so I'm going to be sticking to my low poly modeling technique. The other one is Stephen Woods, who's been doing some crazy stuff when it comes to geometry nodes. And I haven't really learned geometry nodes, which is kind of strange because I actually love node-based stuff and procedurally generating things based on algorithms. So he's going to be modeling something in the other corner against me, and we're going to see. The battle video is already live on Game Dev TV, and I've got a link in my description for that one. And we get a little bit terrorized by Rick, who is from Game Dev TV. He was, well, moderating it, but he was more like personally attacking us as we were doing stuff. I think he was trying to throw us off to distract us and things like that. It was a super fun experience. I really enjoyed it, and I think you're going to like to watch that video. So what about this video? What is it all about? Well, the battle video itself is compressed into 10 minutes, and it shows all three perspectives: the geometry node modeling, my low poly modeling, and Grant Abbott's sculpting. And I wanted to show my perspective, so I'm going to time-lapse this. I'm going to be telling you and showing you how I created my 60-minute low poly beast for the battle video. Let's get started. Alright, so I started with my Infenzia Pixpal palette. Some might call that one cheating, but I did actually clarify whether that was okay or not, and they cleared it, so that's what I started with. And I used my box modeling technique, of course. I just decided to create a four-legged creature or a beast this time. I'm not really good with organic models, I'm a little bit good with robotic ones. So I thought I'll just put a little reference image on the side of the screen, just use Google image search, so I could get a rough pose, so I knew what I had in mind. And then I just started to extrude faces back and forth. And I usually like to duplicate faces. I select them and press Shift D to duplicate them, move them into place, and then just extrude them. And then I work my way, rotating the camera a little bit with the middle mouse button to see different angles, refining it so I can get a rough shape. I'm not too afraid as well to detach my polygons from each other instead of trying to make everything as a single solid object. That's everything's connected. It's still one object, but I like to separate the geometry there. So I even do that for the different parts of the legs because I wanted to make these type of robotic anyway. I wasn't super happy with the shape, but with a time constraint of 60 seconds, or 60 seconds, that would have been crazy, but 60 minutes, I felt like I couldn't really go back and refine it too much. I really had in mind that I wanted to create my low poly beast, and rather than spending the full 60 minutes to model it, I thought there's not going to be a tremendous amount that I'm going to be able to add to this one. So the first thing I did is just added some metallic surfaces and glowing eyes because I've got my emission texture set up already. And then I put some spine spikes in. That's probably got a better name. I don't know, I just call it spine spikes. Then I put a bit of a massive duck jaw on it. I don't know why I ended up looking at it and repeat now. I'm like, why did I make it so flat and wide? It looked like a duck beak or something like that. But overall, I was pretty happy with the shape, all things considered. The feet looked pretty cool, I thought. I should have probably separated those into separate objects because when you animate big flat feet like that on a robot, it looks a bit clunky, as you saw probably in the intro there. In the spare of the moment, you can't really spend that much extra time you just have to accept it. And that's what's so good about time constraints, it'll just push you forward. I spent a little bit more time refining just the shapes to get a few of the head shapes and the eyebrows correct, and then I duplicated faces with Shift D again, and I made teeth both on the upper and the lower jaw as separate geometry within the same object. I thought it looked a little bit plain still, so I did extrude some stuff on the back to create some armor plates, and then I created some claws as well, but I kind of wanted to keep the boxy look of it all, because I thought this is going to be like a mechanical beast, a bit like a transformer thing. And when I felt the time was right, when I thought, okay, if I add anything more now, it's just going to be wasting time because it'll be little minute details, so I thought I'm going to be rigging this thing. So I tried to intimidate them a little bit with both Grant and Steven. I thought, okay, I'm going to tell you I'm going to rig it. Hopefully push them to rig it too.
I'm going to rig mine. It's not going to be a visual.
shots fired. Hear that, Grant? Stefan's going to
Yeah, I did
rig his.
actually.
Are you going to rig yours?
I was thinking, can I get away without rigging? Now I think I've
And this is the first time in a long time that I've done something that's not bipedal. So this is a quadrupedal. I have no idea how to say that word, but I just did. I thought, okay, I'll have to give it a try anyway. And basically the principles are the same. The difference is that instead of the arms, I have to do a double set of IK, so inverse kinematics for the hind legs and for the front legs. So they're also facing a little bit differently from a human. So I had to look again at my reference images and just try to figure out how the bones ran inside there. And then I figured out that they're pretty like inverted in a weird way, because it looks like there's a knee in the back, especially on the front legs there. So it took a bit getting used to, but I put my pole bones so I could point those joints in the right direction. It took a bit longer than normal to do my rigging, but in the end I was pretty satisfied with where I had gotten to. Can't even get my words out now. I'm getting stressed just watching this one. The problem with weight painting this one is because usually you can just apply automatic weights for an organic shape. But in this one, I had to tediously go around the object and select all the different shapes by L to select the link. And I had to manually assign them to the bone groups. And I had to do that for each bone. Well, not on the right side. I just could do it on the left side because I used symmetry afterwards. So I had to assign all of those manually to make sure that the bones would affect entire segments of the mesh, because otherwise it looked like it was warping the metal. So that's not really what I wanted. And then I thought I still have some time left over. So I thought, okay, I'll pose my image into a bit of a shape so it doesn't just look so static. And I wasn't super happy with the posing either. That started to reveal some issues with the model that I had that I would have wanted to make different. So I went back into adding some more details instead to try to cover up those things that I was unhappy with. I put some glowing stuff on the chest and then added some polygons both on the heads, the chest, and towards the tail. And added some more armor raising up type of things that are coming out by the back legs, just to try to add a little bit more details. And I was getting really intimidated at this point, because I heard the chat was going on about, well, Rick was going about Grant's model taking shape there, and Steven was doing some crazy stuff with the geometry nodes, so I wasn't quite sure what I was expecting to see at the end of it. But I thought, okay, I'll raise it up on the hind legs and then I'll put just some obstacle in front of it. A boulder or a crate or something. I don't know why you would be standing on a crate, but I thought, okay, I'll give it a try. I'm pretty constrained to using my Pixpal palette texture. It covers most scenarios for me, including the emission and also the metallic surfaces. But I also try to add some lighting, and I'm a big fan of, there's probably a good name for it, but I like to put like a blue light from one side and a red light from the other side, and then a backlight. So in the end, I just posed my model, and then I spent a little bit of extra time to add some extra geometry where I could see that it could do with some additional detail. The flat surfaces of these polygons, they don't really reflect the light so good on the corner regions, so it does look very flat in shape. But I think, again, in a game, if you had this model from a distance and you weren't closing up to it, then you could probably get away with it. And also when it's animated, it probably comes to life a little bit more. When it's just static, it looks a bit like flat surfaces everywhere. Alright, so after the 60 minutes, this was my finished model, and also for this video I just put a little run animation into it too, so you could see it in motion. After the battle, we shared our screens in the video conferencing software that we were using to record this thing, and it was a lot of fun to see the totally different approaches that we had been taking to tackle this beast challenge. So that's gonna be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and have a great one, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.